anyone that is physically connected with you. It's like everyone that's passionate. It's like this does this job.
Change the situations that we're in. And understand, that's a new season.
I'm about to grab her phone. She has a question. We're still with her 8, so stand by around 9, or we'll check in with you to make sure we're just on the same
None of my peers really about it. For real. The top is hella crowded, I don't need it. I'm sitting right here with my people sitting in bleeding. I'm sitting counting love and I'm counting all my achievements. I'm sitting right here for the truth, that's my only reason to be living. Killing these rappers, I don't need permission. I'm never slipping. I can run the game for 9 minutes. If you really want to say, you can taste the venom. But beyond that, I'ma put that knowledge straight in them. Put the knowledge in your mind, I got it from the books, I got it from my life, I got it from experience. I rap like I'm deliverance. See, I was in the room with my baby, mama, I don't got no drama, while she was delivering. He purpose, the next nation. I spit these rhymes for motivation and emancipation. Documental statement. I don't like rappers who will leave your mind in stasis. If you don't like me, that's kind of risky. Sit right here on a transcendental basis. In my pocket, I got 7 aces. Y'all wanna face it, I can just displace the thing that you're saying. I am not a player, and I am not a gamer. I'm just a black neighbor. Came into the beast and I do not come for no favors. I come because I love the work, because I love the labor.
I love the labor. Like that's my profession. I have to get act like I'm young. I'm just trying to sit back and be settled with anyway I am that man that demand any question. I'm pushing against it and I'm planning to go
you never saw. Really? So you saying that was up? That was good.
But when we start to loud, I keep showing how we loud. You gotta know what we loud. We out, we vow, show that we pals, and we down for stopping the things that we lousy. Yeah, we proud up and march against it. We protested. We show we so perfected. With the shit is pathetic. We are giving that bullshit no credit. We are just like so heavy, so healthy, so hectic. Yeah, won't shut up. I'm just trying to bring it out better. Yeah, the weed is so in my section, so we gonna keep it repping, but I don't get out to be cool, because that's the same stuff that people do when they try to speak and all that.
Yeah, but come on.
What? I was expecting it to be such
You feel like paragraph. Let's say what you need to say in 6 bars. Can you say what you need to say in 6 bars? Like stars across the ocean. Every time I do it, I got the ocean. Spreading like ocean. I go good. Every time I do it,
Yeah, they have some damage. The first time that it shaped and actually so may give me some weed. Jasmine, I think. Isn't that pretty? That was cool in here though, right? We'll put it
Did this shit, thought twice. I've done so many times I count my blessings. I'm sitting right here in the intersection between the truth and my transgressions. This is a president I did not elect him. At the same time, the United States protected. Man, Mac Chase said the life would get hectic. Know it's hot outside, but I don't ever sweat it. I still don't edit. I got credit, I got debit, I got everything I need. I don't like people who not have intelligence or greed. I don't even need their degree. I sit and not read, then break it down and I think. See all these things that I have seen. This right here is the dream of Martin Luther King, manifested into the real world. I want a real woman. I don't want somebody who's not gonna like have my back. You know, like real. I want somebody who's down for the cause, down for the motion, down for the ocean, down for the ocean, down for the living, but not down for the motion. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about slow coasting. I'm talking about holy roasting. I'm talking about when I'm slipping, she knows it. She like, bro, what are you doing? I'm like, you know what? I'm being foolish. But you know what? I'm human. She knows that too. I'm talking about women who holds down your whole damn crew. I'm talking about people who really do the things that they said that they were going to do. That's the kind of things that I need. And that's why if I see bullshit, I'm like, sister, this is bullshit and I do not agree.
Huh? Oh, I don't know. Do you know Angela? I've never found. Yeah, you know, yeah.
We'll have the best. That's the best. That's the best seat ever. You see I'm right there in the corner too. That's why, yeah. For real, it's the best. I've never seen the food. Robin will tell you what happened though.
everybody is strict on it.
This is all this, yeah. And we did it in the research. I like how the prevention of play. It's really more like a sharing. So, yeah, it's like, we had like Robin, you guys want something to eat? You got it.
Untie the knot, turn the knot, sometimes but I know that my soul is like that, with the ice I hold it, maybe it's hot, it doesn't really matter, I'm just making it stop, shatter all the chatter, will master, kick back top here, or forward, it doesn't really matter, and I'm like, that's just bullshit.
We all have started to school together. That's a great don't need no weapon. I'm my Uber with the gun. I ain't never had a gun. I'm a wage now. I would like to welcome you to this event. My name is Naji Amaranth. I'm out here, Oakland Mind. We are part of the movement called I Will Not Participate. You know, this is men and women. This is elders and youth coming together to stand against trafficking of all kinds, especially and specifically sex trafficking, and especially and specifically even more child sex trafficking, which happens way, way too often here in Oakland. You know, we're gonna watch a movie in a few minutes, but before we do, I would like members of my crew to say a few words to you. And really, because it's something that we gotta do. See, we got elders here, and we represent the youth. That means we attitude. That means I don't need an attitude unless it's an attitude for gratitude. And even if you screw me over, I'm not gonna be mad at you. I'm gonna assume that you did what you had to do, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do as well. So I don't let my ego swell. I don't like to play chess all the time, but sometimes I gotta check myself before I wreck myself. Because I see my brothers wrecked inside these streets, and all they really wanted was some breakfast and a beat. And which one did they get? Which one really exists? Which one do you need? They want the money, they want the greed, they spill the seed, they cut the trees. I'm like, really, what do you believe? They're like, you know what, my brother? I'm doing this because I don't got the things that I need.
Now she's up the
Oh, it's nice and fresh, breezy in here.
It's about to start raining, that's why. It's gonna start raining.
So, we're actually going to start the movie, but there's one thing I would like to say. There are 3 guidelines for the campaign. Guideline number 1. I would like you to repeat the guidelines back. You know, this is a part of our culture and our heritage. Guideline number 1. Treat women with respect.
Treat women with respect.
Guideline number 2. If you see something, say something.
If you see something, say something.
Guideline number 3. Support the movement.
Support the movement.
That being said, my name is Kamal. This is Amir. We're gonna actually give you guys some more awareness on what actually is going on, why there is the movement, and also how to get involved with that movement. We have some representatives from initiatives in the community that are actually putting in the work to make sure the problem that you're going to see here actually has a solution, and that there actually is hope for us to end just this malice that's happening in our communities. I don't know, I'm Kamal. If you know me, you know me. A lot of people in the room do know me. I'm an organizer in the community. I'm a student. I have a beautiful lady in my life. I have an awesome family, and I work in the library. That's a little bit about me. Other than that, this is Ania. I'm gonna let her know about you. But you know why we're here. You know me. What's up with you?
Hello, everybody. I know a lot of you. My name is Zania. I'm an Oakland resident, Oakland business owner now, newly. I get born and raised here. I'm an activist in the community, and this is just it's a movement that's near and dear to my heart. And you know, I love Oakland. I love the people here. I love what we're about, and I think that we're capable of anything, and we're capable of changing anything that's negative in our community if we really just pull together. I've seen so many amazing things take place when I've seen the people in my community rally together. So I know we're capable of abolishing this, and I'm just really passionate about that. I think we all should be passionate about being abolitionists of something that is negatively impacting, that's like robbing, enslaving our children in this community. So yeah, this movie was really hard for me to watch. I'll be honest about that. it was really tough, and I had a moment where I was like, I can't do this, and I was going to turn it off. So, but I didn't, and I would encourage anybody that kind of gets to that point in the movie to challenge yourself. If it's triggering for you, I totally understand. Yeah. So absolutely, trigger warning. But it does have a really powerful message in it. There's a lot of information in it, and it's going to make for a really great conversation afterwards. But I do want to kind of forewarn people that, like, even as somebody that's like in it and talking about it on a regular basis and aware of like all this stuff, it was really hard for me to watch. So.
Yeah, you might not, you won't be able to be dormant if you don't know much about the stars. You know something about it, and you kind of just been holding back. This is probably going to take that out of you. This is like a disclaimer for that. And I don't know, it's a really good film. It's going to go deep, but it's a really good film, really captivating, really entertaining. Edutainment is the thing we ran for. I'm going to just get into it.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Can we turn the light off now, come on?
Yeah.
I was still in high school at the time. I lived in my life since I was 16. I was 15. I was 15, 16, 13, and 14. I got it when I was 12. I started at the age of 13 into sexual exploitation. It's like, at age 13, what choices do I have? My favorite movie always has been will be Dirty Dancing. Sorry. Patrick Swayze is my dude, but I don't know. It's very funny. Like, I always been an A student, always. Like, in elementary school, kindergarten, elementary, junior high school, always been my thing. Until I'm like, that was when everything just fell apart.
I think it's always that, you know what I'm saying? What time for long?
How long you been doing this?
6 motherfucking years.
How much time you got when you were 30?
Like, I'm a 10-fold fucking. This top grade, I'm just over 100 hours, nigga. Okay.
What you gonna do for today?
Music, 5-year bit. Cause the bitch and half is all the top fucking shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You gonna find a little hole today, you know what I'm saying? Put on that clothes and make that end, you understand that? All of it.
I'm on my way to the house. And what it's doing is following me in the car. I went in the store just to see if they really was following me, because at this point I was looking like 2 blocks. I walked like 2 blocks and the store was behind me or whatever.
Is your friend?
Yeah.
So what you attending to and all that? I wanna talk to you more, you know what I'm saying?
So if I like you, like you see cute, you sweet, and how you got it on, and you're always on whatever.
You got a nice little thing going on, you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about, yo.
I was in this building for At the time, he was like, what, 29, 30. I didn't really care. I felt like it was cool for me to tell you to go over to be interested in me. I was like, I'm stressed, like, it's getting hard.
Can't be no little girl that you gonna represent me and I'm gonna represent you. You understand? That's the whole thing, alright?
He was like, come with me. Best thing that ever happened to me, like, the best. And we would just go out to eat every night, go to the movies and stuff like that. We always keep the honeymoon period.
What's your daddy's name, man? You gonna see if this one is good or bad news. You gonna see.
So then after the 2 weeks, we was outside or whatever. And he was like, yo, I really love you. At every time. Like, I wanted to be together and stuff like that or whatever. And I would do anything for you. So I was like, oh, that is so sweet. I think I love you too. So he was like, would you do anything for me though? I was like, yeah, why not? You don't do it or we don't be together, right? So he was like, yeah, we are.
We gonna do it before, this is before. We gonna show the after shot after she get married and after she get paid, you understand?
And he was like, I'm a pimp. So I'm like, I don't understand all that. Like, I ain't never, what's that? And he was like, this is my job, this is what I do. I get girls and stuff like that or whatever. They're very attracted to me and they make money for me and stuff like that or whatever. But like, I would love you a lot more if you bring me money or stuff like that or whatever. Like, we could have more fun, we can go more shopping, we could have more this and we could have more that and stuff like that or whatever. We don't have to worry about much. And then I just told them and I just had to cry.
Well, yeah, son. You can fuck for free, right? Without the money, right? Huh? Look at the camera, huh?
I felt like he was like him and I was really mad at it. I just, my whole body was so dead, like, I was just like, whatever, like, just take it and get it.
Well, you wasting time,
After a while, I just started getting mad. I just wanted to be a kid. So then I ran away. Went to my friend's house. He was just there. He was sitting outside of his car. You shouldn't have called yourself running away, talking about some you want to be a child, you want to be a kid, and all that crazy shit. You don't fucking run away from here.
This is what you do to people who fuck up.
That is not fuck up, man.
You're shitty.
I'm
You're a
shitty.
dumb bitch.
I'm a dumb bitch. Let's go.
Right,
Let's go. And he just started looking at me, and then I started crying myself, and I honestly felt like that was my fault. But I felt like I shouldn't have been a kid, I shouldn't have wanted to go outside, I shouldn't have disobeyed him.
So what you want to do?
I want to be with the man that I'm fucking up.
What can you do to make Daddy like you again? Case closed.
I felt like at that point in time, like this is his life. Whatever he feel like should go inside of me or should happen to it, it's gonna happen because he said so. If he felt like he wanted to cut my foot off, he could cut my foot off because I was just loving me. And that was how I felt.
archaeologist. Don't ask me why. I want to be an archaeologist. I want to find things. I want to find Cleopatra, King Tut, and all those people in Egypt. Even though I was 14, girl went to England to discover some plants or something. Not 14. Girl on the Hunts Point Avenue. She got a boat, you know? This is how I want it to be. We're on 47th and 8th, and this is another area where I worked in Manhattan. We couldn't have on like the G-strings and like that. Out here, we would once like for the occasion, 4th of July, Memorial Day. We just like a regular people with like little or high heels on. We would just walk around, visit the 8th Avenue. 14 when I first started working here. It's 14 years, right? We fought a lot in my house. A lot of fist fight, violence, domestic violence, like crazy. I could do better without this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm leaving. 14 years old, you know. I woke up at my house and like 4 steps on my a van pulled up. And they just died. But I seen before, so now I'm kind of familiar with them.
Little daddy. You understand me?
Sure.
Are you focused on it? You need a daddy in your life. You understand?
Yeah. I can really help you. And I can really be like your father and present you to love, only one. Your family. Family? Okay. Family? Alright, I'm giving you the car.
I work hard, make this money, get out the hood. That's what you got, right? You gotta provide your money in 24 hours, right?
You feel like I was his daughter. He used to say things like, when you and your mother was making you, or your mother had you. So we like girl like little girl. And I'm looking at you when you was born, baby. I knew you was my daughter. And he was looking at me like, he's about me Blue's Clues stuff and stuff like that. Like, he was like a father. He really tried to like, make that role his role. He was able to marry me. He used to like hold me like I was a kid and I was so touching. He took care of me. The woman says, you're looking for a date. A trick. He'll circle the block 4 or 5 times. He'll circle around so he can get noticed. Or take a second look. There you go again. I think this is the most wickedest track that I ever worked on. It was just, like, it's not like Manhattan track, because Manhattan track has other people, it's going to lunch, this was just mainly for that purpose. When it hit a certain time, it was just mainly for a track. It's been like 15, 20,000 on one block. One block alone. This block used to be 10,000 attractions. I'm telling you, cars used to be packed up. 20 cars lined up this way trying to get into this intersection. So many cars. So much traffic. I'm on a track, right? And every day, and I'm starting to learn how to do it. And he's watching me like a hawk. And every time I learn one place, and he takes money from me. Trying to make that money, I was still out there. We're still struggling. We didn't need most of the money that they hold on to us. Sometimes we don't do that. I'm gonna wait till he come in to eat. When he came in at night, and he overwhelmed, then that was my luck. I mean, I'm not going to ask for the other looking from the house, but I mean, it was different. He's leaving me because I'm making money. Oh, but if I'm making money, he don't eat. I don't eat. I understand why he beating me now. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm justified everything I was in the game.
This is what you're getting away from time.
You like them as hobby. Real high. I didn't feel into anything. I didn't need anything on high. I'm lucky like that. And one time, I had left the club to go with this guy. He gave me the money that he was going to pay me. And we get to his house. I'm not going to say it's more than 15. I'm not going to say it's less than like 7. I don't know. I know there's a lot of guys that don't have sex with me. And then that part, I'm going to throwing up. And I went in the bathroom like straight from the bedroom. I didn't hit the floor, so I couldn't make it. I'm throwing up. And they're still behind me trying to have sex with me. And then they left me in the abandoned car. Like I woke up, seats were missing, like it was a car like the crackhead stripped, kind of. And I ran home, and to come home to be fighting, father come on, whoop your ass, and stuff all like you out there, oh, you run, I'm like, hold on, some point you want to be home, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? To come to that.
Can you sit back and think about that, of how your mother must have felt? Your mother must have felt. Right. Could you imagine how your mother must have felt when she found out that what you were doing in the street? I think it's one of the most despicable things a person, anybody could do.
You're a mother, you know how that makes me feel?
That's how I feel about it.
So I say, what's going on, Tommy? You know, tell me how you feel. Why'd you run away? What was you looking for?
I feel a lot of it, you always have a way of pushing it towards everybody else and not taking a step back and look at yourself and see what you did. And seeing it back to you, okay, I understand that you're a child, your child's mind, but you made adult decisions. You never stood back and say, okay, I did that.
Because I told you I shouldn't have to worry about a lot of things that I was worrying about. And I didn't make adult decisions. I made adult decisions as a child. And I wasn't an adult. From there, I don't know. Then I went away, I'm homeless, you know, like, I can't go home. I don't want to go home. Where do I go from there?
So you called me back for what? What did you call me back for? Why didn't you just go home? Huh?
I can't go home.
What you got? A train? You gotta get out the car and go home. You know? And so you go there, you can't take you out. No. But instead you decide to do what? Huh? And do what? Selling your what?
Every day I thought about a way out, what I can do differently, but I don't have any options. I can go to a shelter. What to do anything around that. I don't need education. I went to school, which I was a footballer. I went to school worker. I went on how to this way of my life. That's it. This is what I was made for. This is all I can do.
I packed up my suitcase, I said I'm gonna leave, and he threw my suitcase at me and told me the next time I tried to leave, I'm just gonna put me in a suitcase. But he's just gonna kill me. And like if I knew where I'm gonna go. Especially if you have no family, no friends, like where are you gonna go? If the life you don't even know, then what are you gonna do?
When you first get into the game and you have a pimp, it's like they try to isolate you from your everyday life. Like you can't have no contact. you're not a square no more. You're like not the person normally on the street no more. You're just a worker. You're working to get money. I mean, that's what it was at the end of the day. I'm his investment. I'm his way of getting money. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, a parent does nothing more but collect the money. He didn't carry quarters on me unless he knew about it. I mean, I love my dad, and I forgave her. And I love my mom, and I forgave her. But I'm like, why are you not coming to save me? But why are you not coming to save me? Like, could you help? What do you do? You're the only person who's first and supposed to help me can't help me. So mistake. What do you do?
Excuse me. Can I talk to you for a second? Honey, you saw this girl out here? It's my daughter, she's missing. You saw my daughter? You saw the flyer? Does she have braids in her hair? Long braids. For real? How do you know that he's a comparison? Are you a prostitute? What area is he in? Do you know where she is? Oh God, I can't believe you helping me like this. God bless you. You're the only person that called us. My daughter's in this apartment with a pimp. You know, we have a bunch of underage girls in this apartment. This girl told me, anonymous caller. This sort of flyer. She didn't call tonight. This girl said they're armed and dangerous and have guns, the three of them.
They're in the apartment?
She said this is where he's keeping the girls at. So he got them in there. He locks them in the apartment. He beats them.
What do you want me to do to you?
I need to speak to somebody because this is where the girl said all the runaway girls are at. My daughter in this apartment.
You don't have an authority to kick them off.
This is what she said they are here.
You have to have a court order to take it to reference.
So how do we do that?
Listen, let me explain something to you. We need a court order. At this point, 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, that's at the booster right now.
This is fucking unbelievable. I don't believe it. I feel like I'm in a fucking dream and I need to wake up. But this is a fucking nightmare. You can't tell me this is not doing this to you for 2 months. Stop talking to somebody. Please. She's gonna leave.
Good evening, gentlemen. We got the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. We call this program the Brooklyn John School. And gentlemen, that is everybody here tonight. The men paying for sex, the Johns. After the completion of this class, if you stay out of trouble for that 6-month period, your case will be dismissed, and more importantly, your record will be clean. That's it. It's as easy as that.
I'm here to talk to you tonight about the crime of prostitution from the perspective of the police department. Let's say you drive up, you get your little girl, and there are little girls, keep that in mind because the average age of a prostitute is 13 to 14 years old, okay? They don't look it, they don't act it, they don't talk like it, they can show you ID otherwise, but they are mostly underage. These girls are underage, okay? I'm not here to make any moral judgments against you. What you did, you did. So now here's the scenario. You're getting off in the car, and now the cops pull up, we got you. I always operated this way. If you act like a gentleman, I'll gladly treat you like a gentleman. And you know what? This little girl next to you, she's already been locked up 30 times.
Question.
Yes.
How long is the
I got off the train because the other train wasn't working, and I was walking. Some dude came up and said, "Well, I'll give you a ride." He was driving to Queens, and I told him to stop. He wouldn't stop. When he opened the door, I was trying to run out, but the pimp grabbed me and he put me in the house. He said if I tell him, he's gonna get somebody to kill me.
She said that she was with the pimp for 4 or 5 days. During the course of those 4 or 5 days, she was forced to have sex with 30 men. The day that she was arrested, she was 14. In any other situation, she would be too young to consent to sex. To have her charged on prostitution charges is a little absurd. At this time, I'm going to be asking for a parole with my client to her mother, who is here.
We were opposed to voluntary execution at this time. The respondent did make an admission to an act that, if committed by an adult, would constitute a crime.
She's treated like a criminal. After all the stuff that happened to her, instead of them taking her to a hospital, they took her to a jailhouse. To be in jail and can't even be with her mother. That would be the most horrible thing in the world, where I can't really hold my baby the way I need to, and my baby can't be with her mommy. She need to be with her mommy.
We got a lot of stuff. The adjustment report. We have the drug test, negative. Very good.
Judge would also ask for a continued remand of this respondent.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask that my client be paroled.
In this part, I like to try to look forward. Okay, because if you just rely on what happened in the past, then you're never going to give someone a chance to prove that they could do what they need to do. Okay? So, I'm going to parole her to her mother today. You have a nice life, stay present. You have to go to GEMS twice a week. You ask for a report from GEMS. We're coming back May 24th. No crying, then I'm going to cry. Okay? Parties are excused. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
GEMS is the only non-profit in New York State that provides alternatives to incarceration for victims of sexual exploitation. But for every Judge Spodak. But with the other people, you feel like, no, go away for a year because you're a prostitute. GEMS serves approximately 200 girls each year, and yet we still know that we're only touching the tip of the iceberg. I want you to spend some time this week writing down who are you going to be in the future. What does that look like? How will you feel about yourself? I want you to say one thing that is better now than being in the life. Is there anything you don't miss? I don't miss having to have sex with men that I don't know. I don't miss that. That's not something that I wish I was still doing. So there are lots of things that are better for me. By the time my pimp was really beating me all the time, trying to kill me, I was suicidal, I was self-mutilating a lot. I was just done. The first 2 years it was really just me on my kitchen table with $30 and a borrowed computer. Housing originally was through my apartment, and clothing was like my clothes, and food was what I was getting. And GEMS has obviously grown quite a lot in the last 8 years. Our primary competition is pimps. They're spending 110% of their time and energy on recruiting, on brainwashing, on making this girl feel loved and special, and pulling her back in every time that she almost leaves. This has been 4 years of her life, from 12 to 16. He's 35. He's basically raised her.
First of all, I'm in love with him. Something is wrong. Why am I still in love with this man and I know that he's nothing but trouble? And I don't know what to do. Because I'm ready to run. I'm ready to go.
I wish I could take away the feeling that you have for somebody who is bad for you. I can't guarantee that you will stop having feelings for someone. What I can help you do, and what we can help you do, and what you can work through is the choices you make with that person.
I'm hurting because I still love this man and I know that he's so wrong. I'm hurting because I was a hoe. Any way you put it, when you sexually exploited, I was a hoe. In society, I was a hoe. Any way you put it. When I go to school, people know I was a hoe. When I leave school, people know I was a hoe. That hurts.
And sometimes I think it's our own feelings about what we went through that make it so painful. And that's the part for us that hurts. Ultimately, you got to get through this painful part, because at least this painful part has some type of hope at the end of it. When you was in the life, there wasn't no goals to be had, period. There wasn't no real future. There wasn't no expectation of things getting better.
That's hard, Rachel.
I know.
Me being out of the life and with my boyfriend for a year, I was scared that he was going to find out. I didn't know how to tell him, and I was scared that somebody would tell him before I did, and then I would lose him. And it's hard. So your pimp now, you're not going to lose your pimp. You're not going nowhere.
But does that make it better? Honestly.
A little bit, yeah. Because no matter what, you will always have him. And he won't throw you a hole in your face because we doing it together.
What will he do instead? Let's keep it real.
I understand what you're saying, but comfort is what we all need.
I was sentenced to just, I think it was 3 or 4 times a week. And I was back and forth and stuff like that. But I feel like that was my world. That was how it was supposed to be. But like, we were going to get married, and I felt like that dream that he was telling me was going to come true. I was so desperate for the money again, like when I had left him, like I didn't have nothing. So it was like I was so desperate for the money that I would go out every night and just do it on my own. But I wasn't doing it. They even told me you don't love me, but they didn't experience me in my bed. And it wasn't what I knew. And if it wasn't what I knew, then it was love, you know? I was so caught up and I was so hurt. I said, I don't want you. I just want to go back. Just let me go back. I'm going to the house after I leave here. And she said that she cried through tears. That she's going through the struggle. I was real hurt. So what you saying here?
Just for the record, my alias was Vanessa Vasquez every time, I went to jail, but my government name is Carolina. Vanessa's really implemented now, so I don't know if I should change it, being that everybody already knows me as Vanessa.
It doesn't matter what people are being called you, when you want, now, from this day forward.
Carolina, I guess.
So put Carolina.
I just really don't know what the song.
No, I appreciate it. That's really honest, and I think it's nice to call Carolina. Because that's who you are, right? And today I'm going to see if I can give you like $5, or maybe get some food for like Chinese food or something to hold you over.
I was a group home foster child.
I was one of those kids.
One day I just decided to take a bus all over New York City
Then running for 30. 16 at the time, and this is the summertime. And I had no idea what I'm gonna do. And this Cadillac pulls out, the beige Cadillac or whatever, and he's like, he seems emotionally to come over to him. When I first got into the car, I had actually thought that he was in some type of rap crew. We knew that pimps and hoes were real. This is start with a Ron, and Don Magic One made it, like, glorified it or whatever. Like I never knew. It just feels almost like he was like my boyfriend, because that's just how it is. He told me that he was he's free or something. And I'm 16. That's it. I want to go over some of the rules really quickly. Curfew, you guys know during the week is 11 and on the weekend is 12:30. No men are allowed in the house at all. Not to the front door, not downstairs in the front of the building. They don't need to be hanging out with you in the hallway. Not at all. Any other questions? Let me check. So I'm gonna write someone. I keep in contact with them. You know, just remember your goals and why you're here and what you're trying to do. Temptations will always be around. At the end of the day, it's about what you're trying to do. Okay. What do you guys do the weekend? Watch TV, watch movies, whatever, do whatever. Hang out.
Did the court system put you here?
Yeah, there was.
Did Haley, like, you know Haley, right?
Yeah.
Did you meet her in court?
Yeah, I actually.
I met her way before I was down with Jones.
But like.
She was with my wife-in-law. She was talking to my wife-in-law.
Who's your wife-in-law? Fire.
She's black?
No, she's like your skin color.
She's black, but she's got your complexion.
Really, she just got locked up.
She's, I don't know where she at now, but she went upstairs.
I know Fire, so.
She got brown hair, but she be dyeing it.
She was with, black. Yeah, I was with him. I was with him for a hot minute.
Yo, did you ever work East New York on Pennsylvania? I think I've seen you before.
Mm-hmm.
Now I remember you. Now I remember you.
I had a pet
Now I know
I had a pet name,
Alright, look, I'm gonna spit out a bunch of stuff that I know, but we know what no. I know of him, I never know him. What do you know about him?
I know a couple of his girls.
Like who?
That's what I'm talking about.
Are you serious?
I know everybody thought I was dead or something because I had a cold and nothing, but I don't know. I just have to come back because New York is my hometown. Miami, it's nice, but I don't like it like that. Because I'm tired, like I've been doing what I was doing since I was 15. You feel me? And I'm tired. Because it's not even worth doing it anyway.
Ebony needs them to what she does.
Give me push. Give me push.
So I guess for me then the bigger question is like, why are you here? Like why are you not out there tonight? And what makes you kind of stay, or at least try to stay despite the temptations?
So this is the only place I know. If I don't know this, I know the streets. That's it. And I'm not trying to go back to the streets. It's like for me to still be here and not even go back to the street. it's like I thank God, like I pray every day, like please help me stop doing it. I don't want to do it no more. So I mean, y'all all the support I got, so that's why I like you. Y'all like my family. Y'all the only family I have. Y'all can't go to my sister and be like, oh, I need help. My sister, come on, my sister judged me for what I did. You feel me? Just because she graduated, yeah, she a lawyer, but still, I'm trying. I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to say. Everybody's trying here. That's what it is. For real, because that when you're going through a lot like that, you know, it's kind of hard to believe that you can't have no more. When I was little, I was normal. You feel me? The only thing was normal that I didn't live with my mother because my mother do drugs. I was raised by my grandmother. So, you feel me? So, like when my grandma passed away, I just ran away from home, and that's how I started getting on life. It was crazy. I was sad because that's the only person I really had close to me. In Miami, I did not like it down there. I used to get beat up so much. Every time I went in there, I used to get beat up all the time. It's not funny, but it's funny for me now because I don't do that no more, and I'm saying it like, I'm just happy. You regular? Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. Go ahead to Pathmore. I just came from there. So get that ice cream cake. Alright. So what do you want to do? I'm going to be a lawyer. If I don't be a lawyer, I'm going to be a veterinarian. So, I'm going to... And I'm at the other version. You want to hear it? It's right here.
Business management? Business. Business technology? Computer information systems? Criminal justice? Yes. Alright, Best Buy is hiring. Oh, Radio Shack, that's what I could do.
I'm in a video.
Why won't they see you doing that on TV?
Oh, okay, across the street from Magic Johnson Theaters. I don't know how to work it, but I'm willing to learn. Alright, thank you. Oh. What time is it? We got a meeting at 1 o'clock. I'm not concerned. Oh, yeah. That's all right. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Alright, you can play this song now. You got a job? Mine is that. I'm coming in to get some cosmetics. I can plug all my electrical stuff. I am moving. So this is you can do my room. Come to my partner today. And somebody, which I'm very happy about. And I will no longer get more. I'm happy for my cousin, and I'll go be at her house soon. She wants everything. I'll be over here. Let's call me. I'm getting married. So when are you starting with BT code? I don't know. I'm supposed to be doing some job training school.
Alright, so let's work on that then. So you be busy, you don't have as much time on your hands, and you feel like you've been productive.
I'm not even stressed, I'm just mad. Because I want to go to school. I want to go to regular school.
I think it makes more sense to point people to your GED, sweetie. It's fine, the GED is fine, I have a GED.
Alright, but I GED is what's up. I gotta say,
alright, do it again.
So how can we begin to move forward and kind of resist temptation? How can we do that? How can we make steps forward? Is there anyone you need to stay away from?
I think with the baby, it's hard to get to them anyway, so
Let's slow you down. Yeah, what's your plan for this week? What's your commitment for this week?
I don't be going back. Nobody don't be cool.
So you're not gonna contact anyone?
Who contact who?
I don't know, anyone.
I'm saying, I try to contact, remember, I try to contact, I be in touch with him, I can't. Nah, but I'm saying I'm not desperate like that or on it like that, dying to go back. Nah, I'm cool, I'm telling you.
So what's your commitment?
My commitment is not to try to find.
Okay, this is only a week, right? Only a week. Okay, so what we do it one single day at a time.
What you get in your nose in? Nah. What you get in? What you get in your eyebrows? Turn, outfit. You know how my daddy do. Your outfit. What kind of outfit you get? I don't know. I'm gonna get pretty too. Oh no, I just like being free. I like being free shit. I like going out to the store when I want to. I like going outside when I want to. I don't know.
You could do that here, you can go to the club when you want to.
Yeah, yes I could. Yes I could.
You could do that here?
Yes, I could. Girl, you crazy? You should be stuck. No. Yo, I'm gonna have to come here this one time. I'm gonna see. That's all I want to see anyway. I want to see him. I'm going to curse him out like, you just love that. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing with somebody? I'm going to be like, I go to school, I have a job. I don't do that no more. I'm about to be at a party. What are you doing? You know, like, I'm not doing. I mean, it's just hard. I try to leave the lifestyle. Like, I'll leave for like months and I come right back.
And sometimes the toughest period for us is the coming out period. It's that exiting period where kind of maybe you still got one foot out there, you still maybe in contact with people from the life or whatever. You don't have any of the clothes you had because you walked away with the clothes on your back. You don't even have ID. You got to start all over again. You don't have no money. And you're looking back like, dang.
You know, I've been through a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to, get myself together. It's like, I see everybody with their new stuff, you be seeing them like, damn, it's tomorrow, they got, you be like, yo, I'm still struggling, damn, maybe I should go hit it one time. And then it's like, I'm going to wind up going back, I'm going to wind up, for me, if I do it, I'm going to start that all over again. I feel like I'm going to just go right back.
Deep down, you want something more for your life. Deep down, you know that you weren't created. God did not put you on this earth to be on the track, and to be hurt, and to be beat. You know that you're destined for something better, right? You know you can see, even though it gets blurry sometimes, you know that there's a future out there.
Ebony, sweetie, it's Julie and Rachel calling. We just wanted to call you to tell you that we love you. And that we miss you and we want you to come home. Give us a call. Alright? Give us a call soon. Okay. Oh, she's gonna pop up. I think she's gonna call one of the girls before she calls one of us, so. I feel like she called Catherine or something.
Catherine, she's been inspired.
Yeah, that's true. Lately they haven't been that close. I think she might be in Brooklyn. I think she might be in Staten Island. I mean, it's a big city to cover. Something like Ebony, I mean, there's no magic here, do you know what I mean? There's no detox, there's no methadone.
you're supposed to join it.
I'm gonna continue on with school. I know you finished high school, so I feel like a step to changing your life. You know, you need to educate yourself. The things that I want, can I get them without identification? Do you have my IDs and shit? What? You know what? If you want me to come and get it myself, I'ma come with the fucking captain of motherfucking Manhattan criminal fucking 10th precinct, okay? Hello? Because, yo, I'm not gonna go over there and get it myself. That's fucking crazy. Where's the green card? Oh my fucking god. Yo, that's you, yo. You gonna have to marry me or something. Whatever. You talk too much shit.
You heard it the whole time?
Yeah, you're supposed to give me like 5-8 kids, right? You're such a sweet talker. Yeah. Don't worry. Try a lifetime. I'm such a hypocrite. I say that on purpose. This nigga, he has a way of working. Yeah, I'm calling him again. Can't help it. Hello? Daddy? Love you. I love you.
We're going in this building. We're doing birth certificates first. So you and Stacy are the only two that don't need it. Today we're taking the rest to get birth certificates and social security cards. It gives them the opportunity to have original documents on site, so when they need it, it's there, and we can get ID and school and benefits and all that stuff when you take care of.
That on you?
Yeah.
I'll pay you back.
Yeah, you can give us $1. You don't gotta pay me back.
I'm gonna get something to eat.
Go ahead. Give us something to eat.
I'll be right back for you. I'm going in.
I'm with my man again. Truth is, I relax. That's what really happened. I'm not gonna be done with it. I'm not. It's not over yet. Still in the life, still doing this, still get money, and that's it. And the only way that it will really end for me, ultimately, is if I die. But I don't like thinking about that.
Not for her for what she does, but if that's what she chooses to do, then that's what she chooses to do. I can't stop her. Only she can. I used to be the same way. Yeah. She's young. She's only gonna learn when things get rough for her, you know what I'm saying? She's gonna learn the hard way. And that's on her.
just you can do anything with that thing.
You gotta come up with at least 500 and go, that. And then one night he sent me outside in the area where we live to make $500, which is impossible. I don't even know how I got to the hospital. The last night I tricked myself and beat the piece of wood, which I had to block out. Like, I really thank God that I don't remember what happened, because I don't think I'd be able to sleep at night. I was doing something before it happened, and I was like almost praying for something. Like, I didn't want to get hurt badly or anything like that, but I was praying for a situation to happen so that I'd be able to go home.
No, I'm not sick. I'm in the hospital with a girl. I haven't had to go to a funeral yet, but there's girls that I haven't seen in a long time that I met her. So I hope that they're okay. And every once in a while I'll get a phone call.
Hi. Where are you at? In Miami?
Yeah. I was in a little accident.
I'm gonna go on vacation with a friend, but I'm gonna stay in Miami with a couple of days, just so I can try and connect with Ebony while I'm in Florida.
That's when he jumping off the car. Cause the dude trying to take me to his house. I told him no. And he gonna try to play me like I'm some sucker, so I punched him in his face and I jumped off the car.
Everybody miss you. And staff miss you a lot, man. Evie said to tell you, yeah, she said to tell you that she loved you. All the girls had a really hard time with you, Evie, sweetie. Everybody misses you. Like, they was really worried about you. They love you, sweetie.
I might come back with you.
The option is there, baby, for real. I will pay for your flight back. We will pay for your flight back if you're ready.
They made it to where niggas like us don't know what we even want to do. Like, we want to do art and shit and real estate.
I don't know what made me come back. Maybe because I was going through so much stuff in Harlem. Probably what made me come back, but I don't even know. I guess because when he told me dreams and stuff, he told me on the phone when I talked to him. I guess that would make me come back. But I don't know, it's worse than down here, yo. This nigga is crazy. Austin, I tell you, he's crazy. He is crazy, yo. I decided I wanted to go home. I wanted to go home, but I couldn't do that to him. I don't know, it's something about him. I don't know what it is, but every time I try to leave, it's something that keeps pulling me back or something. I don't really know, but I just can't do it. I do love him. I ain't gonna front. I do love him because since I've been down here, I've been catching feelings for him a lot. But I can't do it. So when am I gonna ever be happy? When am I gonna find happiness? I'm tired of making everybody else happy. Cause I know he happy. He got money. So you know he happy. But I'm just not feeling it anymore.
Oh, what's this? It's a picture?
Yeah, but the picture's me.
Oh my God. Hello?
What happened? Forget it. What I told you, what happened? I know I'm in trouble, but I don't know, I gotta go. Hello? He want me to come home.
What do you want to do, sweetie?
What I'm supposed to, I don't know. If I go up there, he's gonna come up there. He's gonna come up there. He already told me he's gonna come up there.
Well, there are choices, honey, that we could make if you're ready to leave. That we could try and maybe get you somewhere completely different.
He know everybody everywhere. You feel me? But he know where I'm at. I'm not just gonna say. He told me where I was at. He knows where I'm at right now. He told me. I did not tell him nothing. He was like, yeah, I know where you at.
You ever thought about pressing charges against us?
I can't do that, man. I don't do the police contact. I can't do that. Press charges. That nigga probably gonna try to fucking kill me.
If you're prepared to stay and have it stay the same and get worse, then you need to understand that's what it is, but it will not get better.
I know it's not gonna get better.
And you do deserve to have better in your life. You really do. You deserve to just have a regular life. You deserve to go back to school and get a job and work in a pet store and do all the things that you want to do. But those have to be your choices, sweetie. I can't make those choices for you.
If I ultimately believe that every one of my kids is going to end up staying in the life, I might as well just kill myself for all of that. That joint would be too depressing. So, obviously, if you do this work, it's because deep down you believe that people have the ability to do this. You have the resources to provide them with the ability to do it. That girls can really make that step and their lives can get better. Always you believe that. When it's going to happen is a different thing. He's there. No problem now. That's from my. I'm sleeping on the ball.
She said she was tired. So just waiting on the phone. You get your stuff. Did you eat and stuff?
I'm so
You're good.
She didn't say nothing. It's just the way she looked at me. It's not even the way she looked at me. It's the way everybody looks at me that's on this box that everybody knows who I am. And they know what I was doing. You feel me? It's not even just hot. Come on, y'all. I don't want to be over here, y'all. But no, I'd rather him beat me than be over here when I got people looking at me sideways. No, yo, no. Because he begged me to come and he told me I was going to bed coming up here, yo. And I do. And for me to come back home where my home is and people look at me sideways, that's messed up, yo. And it's not even like that. Because I have a home. I have a home in Miami I can go back to with no problem. You feel me? I don't want nobody think I just came back up here because I don't know. No. I guess I'm confused or something like that. Confused or something in some type of way, but I don't even know what's going on. Not what's going on, but I just don't feel it. I don't. Because I'm used to being that hope for the real, but I'm like, nah, son. I don't know. I was upset that I was there for some dickhead, you know. I live with my mother now. When I saw him, he said that I changed, and you know, and I knew that I changed. I wanted to be me. I guess I dreamt that's the only place where I could be me, you know, because at nighttime I was tasty or bitch. But my real name's Carolina.
She made her move, you know, what can I say? She did what she wanted to do, you know what I'm saying? It's by choice and now by force. So let me somebody else, and then, you know, that's how they go. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at nice, fine, sexy, cutie pie, back down, she doing fixing her nails, whatever she doing over there. You know, life goes on.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. Speaking. I'm a program associate at Julius. Yeah, that's at criminal court, right? I go into facilities and I speak to incarcerated girls. Aww, you're welcome. Some girls that are all locked out for prostitution. They only feel like they're the only ones. Okay. Bye. Tell everybody to say hi. Okay. I love them like there's my little sisters and stuff too. But they're my little sisters and it's different when you're home. That's my little sister and I love her to death. She just told me she is actually, you know that girl. So I have to go to gym to see her at gyms. So like she's getting involved in sexual exploitation too. She shared with me about her being in rape and stuff like that, or whatever. Being raped, being kicked out of the car, being dragged, being kidnapped by other pimps and stuff like that. And I still have to ask her, are you still going to be in life? I love him. You don't understand. I want to be with him. He said that he loved me and stuff like that, whatever. I understand her in a lot of ways. I went through the same thing.
He's 30-something years old. He got you mentally.
They can finish it right here.
No, but I like how you braid. You know them girls can't braid like that. They're just beginners. But you've been in my head for like forever. I'm just actually letting other people get in my hair. I'm for real.
You're looking for love, but like it's not there. I feel like you need to be looking harder and someone else is not there and stuff like that. But I was like, if you want love, I got all the love here for you. All the love.
Alright, so we do have a new member.
And how old are you now, sweetie? I'm already in junior high school. I'm in the 8th grade. So it's like my level compared to other females is totally different. I can't talk to nobody about what I've been through because truthfully speaking, they don't know what I've been through.
There are other 13-year-olds with gems and 14-year-olds, and the fact that the average age of entry in their life is 13 means that a lot of people start at around your age.
You want to pray, cousin?
I'll pray. Dear God, thank you for bringing us all here together. Thank you for allowing us to share our feelings, our thoughts, and everything.
Amen. Amen.
Rachel Lloyd, for your work with the victims of child sexual exploitation, we present you the Reebok Human Rights Award.
This award actually recognizes, probably for the first time publicly, that the commercial sexual exploitation of children in our country is a human rights issue. We look at places like the Philippines and Thailand and the Ukraine, and we talk about trafficking and sexual exploitation in other countries, and yet when it's happening 2 blocks away from this auditorium, when it's happening in Bedford-Stuyvesant or in Hunts Point or in Queens Plaza, we look the other way. We just recently saw the Academy Award. It's hard out here for a pimp with the best song Oscar. They may believe it's hard out here for a pimp. I'll tell you what, it's hard out here for a 13-year-old girl who has run away from home, who is forced to sell her body every night, who is beaten daily by a man who is old enough to be her father, who is bought and sold by adult men.
There's no word, I can't even walk over here no more. Because it's me and all of us are right back there. I don't even know how to he's the only man that I ever felt like was one of my real father figures. I want to make it everyone, and I see on a regular basis. They're still trying to recruit me, telling me that we were supposed to have something together. I did live that life, you know, that was a part of me. I remember things and they hurt my feelings, you know. I'm still struggling with it. What he did to me, I'm still struggling with it. Pissed off. Unfortunately, I didn't go through the thing that she went through after I'm pissed off that heaven and I'm still in her life because he flipped about me. I'm pissed off that I'm actually scarred because of the men that I was dating and he was putting me on the track with me. I'm pissed off at that. I don't come to terms with it. So I start fighting as an activist against it. I don't come to terms with it as wrong. I don't come to terms with it. No coming to terms with anything. I'm fighting for a cause. That's what makes me an activist.
Thank you for coming out here today to support us young women who have gone through the struggle of sexual exploitation. Many of the other young women are in jails who share the same story. And for you guys to recognize that this is wrong and that we are victims is giving me a lot of hope.
So, you want to welcome Dominique. Yeah, Something interesting, especially since that was I'm gonna get some more. I think you're ready for it, and I think everybody here feels like they're ready for it. Now I finally have the money for my own apartment. It's beautiful, the place is beautiful. What am I do this place? Oh my gosh. I've come so far from being homeless. I'm cleaning my own face. This is amazing. This time this is my home and I get to set the rules of what's going on and I get to do it differently. I don't want to go through none of the shit that I want to do. I was afraid of ever meeting a man, and when I met this man who was just so beautiful and like inside and out, and he understood me so much. He treats my daughter, he treats me like queens, and I love him, you know. And I had to like come to the conclusion like I'm not gonna let what happened to me ruin my life and ruin the life of my child. I'm gonna love him. I'm gonna love him and let him love me the way I want to be loved.
Your God in heaven, we come right now in the blessed name of Jesus. We ask you, Lord, that not only unite this marriage in this church, but unite this marriage in heaven. You say whoever you join together, let no man put us like it. Amen.
It was like my first Christmas was independent. It was like my first Christmas was African kid, you know? And I want to have a Christmas that I haven't had in a long time, and it's a good Christmas. When I was in the life, still looking for Christmas. Anybody in the house will say Happy Christmas, because Merry Christmas, because they don't really care. You probably make more money on holidays than you do any other day.
That's fine, that's fine. You make that work. You back to work. That's all.
I'm grateful that I have this year.
Y'all didn't taste it. Give me the handout, y'all taste it.
Oh, that's slippers! I really needed these! Okay, alright. Okay, I'm gonna sing for you guys. But I'm scared. I'm scared. I will sing your praise. Oh, no. For you've done such marvelous things. No one else could do it. No one could care half as much. Yeah, you thought my soul was worth it. So you gave your only son. You gave that I might live. You gave that I might be set free. Exchange your life for mine. What a marvelous thing you've done.
I think we got
You have the right to remain silent.
We can't turn the other cheek anymore, y'all. We gotta like be able to see these things for what they are, understand them, become more insightful about them, become more aware about the issues that are going on in our communities, so we can properly deal with them, acknowledge them, and then move forward. Because some of the things you saw, like Regina actually told me today that a woman in the movie, in this film, like the one that was looking for her daughter, she's actually working still with that young lady and making sure she's rescued and not in the streets. So like this is something that's actively happening today. This is not a distant issue. This is literally happening in your backyard, in your family's close immediate and distant and otherwise.
How's everybody feeling?
Good. I want to do something like I just want, yeah. That's how I'm feeling, like, I'm upset, I'm mad,
Jasmine, can you just have everybody stand up and breathe? Just do a breathing exercise.
Yeah, sure thing. If everyone would like to stand, and then we're kind of trying to bring ourselves back to it. I know there's a lot of emotions going on after watching this film. So if you can find stillness where you are, begin to close your eyes, and that'll bring you a little bit closer inward to yourselves. Go ahead and at your own pace, breathe, filling up your lungs, allowing this oxygen to travel through your body. Utilize the full capacity of your lungs and hold it for a second. And exhale very slowly through your nose, keeping your body moisturized. And again, go ahead and inhale, filling up your lungs, holding it, allowing the oxygen to travel into the top, and releasing it very slowly, controlling. And we'll stand here for a moment of silence, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes, breathe again, take your seat.
Every problem has a solution. So like we witnessed the problem now, would like us to dwell on opening up from inside of ourselves more solutions, and then connecting people who actually are a part of the solutions that are going on today. We have a representative here from a group called Love Never Fails. And they do a lot of abolitionist work with the young ladies who are in this life. And we have a representative here, Angela here. Did it bring practice?
I don't see Jasmine. Yeah.
Okay, so they're on their way. I really can't hear you up here, honestly.
Well, we have Robin here.
Awesome. So we have Robin, we have Angela, we also have Regina. People who are in the community doing things. A lot of times we hear about things like this, but we're very dormant. We don't really have the action in the backbone to follow up with what we actually witness and know what's going on. But these are people who are equipped with the tools and the resources. So I'd honestly like to bring them up here to let you guys know more of what they're doing and how you guys can help to just be more active and just be a part of this movement of healing. We need another seat.
There's a chair back here.
Anyone willing to?
There's a chair back here.
I guess we can start by seeing if anybody has any questions.
Statements.
Would you say this is pretty standard, what we saw like in every major city?
Yes. I know from definitely things that I've heard, especially when I first got into it, when I was watching the movie, I was like, God, it's almost like a script. Like the exploiters, like how they seek out the young girls, how they reel them in, how they program them, how they control them and keep them in. Like everything was just like it's almost like it's a handbook that they all use.
So yeah, to answer your question, the major cities, just to give a little bit more information. I'm with Love Never Fails, and we do outreach. I'm over the outreach department. And we do outreach throughout the Bay Area. We're in San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. We go out to Stockton, and this is what we see when we go out there. We see these young ladies, so it's pretty accurate what's going on. I don't know when this film was done. I mean, Jim's been around for 10 years ago.
2007.
10 years ago. Yeah, but I mean, same problem, right? And same motivation, money. So, yes.
You were in the back, I think, when I started.
Oh, no, that's okay. I came mostly to learn because I hadn't seen the movie. But my name is Robin, and I work for the Alameda County DA's office in our Heat Watch program. So it's our human exploitation and trafficking program. It was created about 5 years ago for kind of an advocacy arm because we can't arrest our way out of this problem, and I think it was a good kind of understanding by the DA's office, and it's really luckily been enveloped by a lot of community partnerships that have then made it stronger. But yeah, if you guys do have questions about any of the procedures and the protocol here in the county, I'm happy to speak on that.
It's really hard if you have a friend who's going through this, especially if it's like, I know a lot of times it's local, but another situation that goes unseen or untalked about is like young girls from other countries that are then taken here as, I guess, now order brides is one term used, and it's like, what's the procedure? Like, you can, yeah, what do you do? Because, you know, their life could be at risk, they could have children. It's not just like like in the movie, it's so frustrating to see the cop is like, I'm not gonna do anything about it.
So what do you do? I would love to have like an easy answer for that, but we do partner with so many different agencies. We partner with law enforcement, we partner with other agencies, and I could tell you an experience that we had. We went out for outreach, and it was down in the Bay Area. We had a young lady, she ran out of a hotel room, and she just, you know, she didn't needed help. So she ran out of the hotel room, very little clothing. So we took her away from that area. She ran out of a motel room. We took her away from that area. We went to an area that was very populated. It was a casino, and we stayed with her. We called a resource in that area who was able to provide shelter for her for that night. So we had an advocate, because we work with advocates as well, stay with her to give her a comfort level, because she didn't know us. We had literally just met her. And our goal was just to get her that night someplace where she could feel safe, to let her know that there are resources, and give her the opportunity to take advantage of those resources, because this is their choice. And so some of the young women that we meet, they're dealing with a lot of different situations, and so we just want to let them know what's available to them. We want to create a safe environment for them where they have a choice, and they know that at least there's an option. So the young lady, she was taken to one of the agencies that we partnered with. She stayed for the night. We did follow up, and unfortunately she left. So, but that's what we do. That is a scenario. I mean, it sounds very, it sounds very strange, but that was a perfect scenario, because she ran right to us, and so we were able to immediately let our security team know, to make phone calls, and to get her somewhere where she was safe for the night.
I think if I could just add one note on that, I think your point brings up a really good example of how powerless we often feel. And I think really just providing, if it's someone you know directly, making sure they know that you love them and you know they're out there, meeting them wherever they're at, like they mentioned and like you're saying, because victories can really show themselves in different ways. If they're outreaching to you, that's an example of success, and knowing that they're not alone or isolated. And on top of that, just knowing other resources out there, like she just mentioned, like Calling Love Never Fails. Here in Alameda County, the first contact for any sexually exploited minor is BayWAR. And they have a 24-hour hotline in Spanish and English for sex trafficking and labor trafficking victims. And they are trauma-informed and specifically for sexual exploitation. So we need to trumpet and support them and raise it, because they're more equipped than anyone to really, there's other options too, which is great, but they have been given resources to then be that line. And if you yourself may get these calls, or you know somebody, it's amazing that at least they're making that first step, because that is powerful and needed.
Is there anything being done about the prosecution of victims? Like, what's like on the measure? It shouldn't be allowed that you can treat people that are victims like this, as far in the judicial system. Like,
yeah, absolutely, I agree. We don't do that here in the county, which is great, but also now statewide, that's been adopted. There's a new statewide that you cannot arrest or prosecute a child for prostitution as a crime. The penal code is 647. It can no longer be prosecuted. But it brings up a really good issue, because then people might, there's a lot of talk with law enforcement who may arrest them for, we get them on a burglary charge, but then we find out they're exploited. So what are we doing for that individual, right? And basically we have to, right now, there's a shift that's happening, which is great, which instead of, if you're a juvenile, you can go to the juvenile justice system or to foster care, right, and social services. We're shifting to social services. So now the protocol is that it'll be that approach versus the juvenile hall. and I think that's a good one, but that's not statewide yet. And here we don't prosecute, but that doesn't mean that they're not still criminalized, and I think we still need to work on that.
Yeah, just, oh, sorry, can I say something before you question? And in 2012, Proposition 35 was passed so that they have, I don't know exactly the sentences, but the time that they had prior to that was very minimal. That they would, like, if an exploiter was caught and if he was prosecuted, like his sentence was very minimal. So with Proposition 35 coming in, they've changed, you know, it's more, they don't get off so easy, the explorers.
And then that which is great, but I was also going to say, what's being done about the, will agencies like review and write policy regarding this and how it is enacted into legislation?
That's a great question. Right now, what's been really active is CAST in California. Is it California Against Slavery and Trafficking? Right, CAST. They're in LA and they're a really good partner, but I think one thing that's really needed is more kind of consultants and experts and survivor leaders, because you have someone like the DA's office thinking, like, if I work for the DA's office, so I really appreciate the work that's done in that arena, but obviously it's going to have a certain vision and view and its own mentality, right? So if that's the only dominating voice, that policy may not be completely comprehensive, right? So it's really important to have people like CAST on board, Miss Regina, things like that, different agencies, Shade Project, really having more community voices at the table. And I think that's becoming, I think Oakland is actually one of the good places that is done where people are taking that more seriously, but it's not where it should be.
And the CSEC task force sets a protocol, right?
Well,
Some other reports, yeah.
For definitely locally, the Oakland CSEC task force.
Which you could join.
Is open to the public.
Yeah.
And it would be great to have more people like this.
Najee's on it.
Is he here for
Yeah, he's on it as well. But it does set the protocol.
You still have your question?
Oh, yeah. I have two actually. So one of them was, if they got involved as a minor, and obviously it's not something hard to leave, and sometimes they're either threatened if they try, and now they're an adult, and they were to come back to, you know, any like police officer or anybody in the legal system, and they say like, I want out, are they still criminalized, I guess, in a way, if they're trying to look for a way out?
So in the county here, we don't prosecute or charge. Not only prosecute, but we don't charge adults or children. But that's not statewide, and that's just a policy here in Alameda County. And so it brings up a really good point for what do we do. And we know that victims are taken outside where they're from, right? So we may be protecting victims who are from here or who are getting in contact with law enforcement or social services here, but what happens if you are in a different county? So it's definitely, it's not where it needs to be again. It's a really good point.
And then my other question was, I think you were saying that one of the options was what you were saying with the one night thing. Like, what's a long-term solution for them or resource for them besides just that one night of safe house?
The community, like,
Very minimal.
I want to answer that. You guys are the long-term solution. The community fronting up is the long-term solution. Like, real talk. So we do have safe houses. Love Never Fails has a long-term safe house. But there also have been safe houses that are closed. And so, like what I do here, like I'm one-on-one with people. I work one-on-one with them. I don't have a program. I'm more like a mother. But I surround like a survivor with community members. I have like my own safe places where I send people with other mothers. Najee, Omi, Jasmine, Kamal, like they've all been involved. And like I really think like this is just how I feel about it, is that it's up to us because these are our kids. These are your peers. And so also trafficking, it's intersectional. So if you have an idea to work on poverty issues, if you have an idea to work on issues in regards to racism or healing, it all intersects. And so that's where we have been missing it, I think, is that we're not looking at the intersectionality of it. We're not looking at the deep racism that is involved. Most of the girls here in Oakland are brown and black girls. Most of them, the majority nationwide, are brown and black girls. There is an issue of racism and poverty that undergirds that. And so if you are creative, there are things that you can do in terms of healing, you know, creatively. Like at Dreamcatchers, you can go there and set up a class. Dreamcatchers helps runaway and homeless youth. They're a huge population for being trafficked. I used to teach a creative writing class there, which actually Phyllis told me about, and that's how I kind of got involved with doing what I do. And that was like 2007 or 2008. But they still need like people to come in and say, I want to teach a class. And we all know that creativity is very healing. And so it really, because there's so many organizations, but it's outgrowing us. And I think that the youth voice is the one that's going to sustain this. And so you have to like figure out like where's your position within it, and then just do. You might think it's a little thing, but it's not. I'm a survivor. I've had people say what they would probably consider to be very small things to me that kept me alive, emotionally and spiritually and mentally.
I just wanted to add that like a lot of the advocates are white women like me, and that's only like this effective, right? Like, I mean, I'm from Oakland, and this is a thing that I've really become passionate about, because I think about what middle school and high school, who I saw, but again, I'm from the hills, and I look like me, and I'm not a survivor, and that's only very mildly effective. When people like Miss Regina, who are more connected with other members in circles than I am, and who people feel more comfortable talking to, is huge. And we just need this to be more than just people who can kind of insert themselves in this issue. It's got to be people from around the city and everything. Everyone, I mean, this task force, it's not representative either of who is victimized.
The thing is that it's not it's a marathon. It's a marathon, so you might feel like, people feel like, oh, I've just done a little bit of something, but you're like one stitch in a hem, and so it's a marathon. I was just telling Jamal about a young woman that I was working with. That was a 2-year process. She'd come here beaten up, right? She's almost killed. Kept going back. I just kept working with her. And now she has her own apartment. She has her child back. She's in school. And she's healing. It's just a long process, but also my community surrounded her. People would take her to yoga, or take her to the movies, or just different things. And so that's why I think for me it's like more like a family thing that's going to actually, be the healing agent.
I want to open up the questions just to kind of bring home the things you said and kind of just captivate it back to the audience. For me, this is a big, intimidating issue. It's kind of hard to find out, where do I start? How do I get involved with the movement? Something that Regina said to me this weekend that hit really home with me is you just use your talents, use the things that you're naturally good at, and find out what the problem is, and find out how you can actually add to the solution with your natural gifts. Like if you're a poet, or if you create something, help someone else create that same, create maybe a book, or create a song or something. Help them create something. Help like that same passion that's within you, help instill that within somebody else, because a lot of times that's all you have, and realize somebody who's going through a situation like that, they need something to hold on to. So if you can instill to them that same thing, that goes a really, really long way. And like for me, that honestly went over my head, because it's like, how do I actually help something that's so big? It's like, I feel like something I do may not be effective, but if you believe and have faith that we actually will win this battle, whatever you can contribute is enough. So like really feel like feel validated in that, feel like what you have is enough to start, and then just find out who's doing the work to continue doing and growing. But like, just feel like you're enough.
You guys have a thing from Missy. Missy needs volunteers. Love Never Fails has a mentoring program.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's not that. And honestly, one of the biggest things that I think was really resounding in the video is that the way that a lot of the victims of this get pulled in is that they speak to a community or a family component that they're missing, that void. And that's a very simple thing. We think that it looks very complex and that there's all these resources that are being provided, but a lot of them are telling you how they didn't even feed them, or they didn't even have money. But it was just telling them that they loved them and that they were there for them and that they would be their family. And so it's that's the first thing that needs to be replaced. It's coming together as a community and being there, even if it's just your time, even if it's just you showing up and spending an hour with somebody, or working with an organization that's working with people. It's the time, it's the showing up and caring aspect that is really, I feel like, at the center of it. That's what is void.
I would like to say something real quick about the intersectionality of it. On the other side, like you have the demand side, but you also have the side of the exporters. And too many times I've seen and I've heard young brothers who are still in high school, still don't know, really what's going on with the world. But they make these decisions based on their environment, based on their circumstance, based on their situation, to exploit their peers. And if there were more males who were to stand up against these kind of things, if there were more males who would be a part of their lives, like you, Remy, like you work at Family Connect. Village Connect, my bad. You work at Village Connect. Things like that will really help to get brothers out of those mind states and to not even be in those mind states in the first place. Or having a cipher about it. You know what I'm saying? Like Kamal said, use the skills that you have.
We gotta make this unacceptable in our culture, and like make healing a part of that culture, and then the acceptance of these ladies that are going through this. But also, like, these men are sick, and I don't mean that to like ridicule them, like that there's a severe sickness, and that has to come into your mind to risk everything that you're risking when you're out, soliciting these types of affairs. So there, because I found myself getting mad and then like thinking about what about the people that I know that pimp. Like we know, we hear that. I never heard AOB until I got to the Bay Area. That is a phenomena that has to be ejected out of the culture that is in the Bay Area, and all off a bitch. That is the culture where you get everything off. Like you haven't heard. It's like people like it's like common up and down like the Martin Luther King Day. Yeah. Okay, I'm like all on a bit. I'm sorry.
It's a culture. That's the scary thing about it. It's a culture that's plagued. Like our immediate communities, being that we're in California, and like if you look at and I feel like for me, one thing I've seen is through our media, through our entertainment, is where it's perpetuated the most, and that trickles into our society. It's like, but how do we deal with that? Like, how do we combat? Like, how do we deal with these? How do we deal with these things? Yeah.
Why are there not more consequences for tricking? Because I was watching that, and those cats seem to get off real easy. Like they should be getting the same sentences as the pimps, because it's like supply and demand. Like if all pimps stop pimping, still these tricks would still want sex. So the women would find a way to just not have a pimp and then do it anyway.
Are we shunning brothers in the community when they violate women? Because like laws and things get enacted by people that push those issues and vote upon them. So I feel like a lot of those things happen because the individual made it happen. I feel like if we, on a small level, start checking people, it'll trickle into the legislative system. That's the opinion.
Well, if you think exactly your point about who makes the laws, the universal purchaser, who makes our laws are men, right? Mostly white men, mostly businessmen, most of the exact same people who are purchasing. So our purchasers, they're diverse, I guess, but they're definitely more white than our victims are. but they're also very professional because this is an expensive thing to do. You have to have a lot of money to purchase. So we know 15% of men have probably American men have purchased. We've been looking at those stats, right? So who are these men? They're lawyers, they're doctors, they're police officers, we know all this. And they're also the ones who make our laws, and it's highly contentious. It's a lot easier, again, we think about the intersectionalism and the history of violence against women, and specifically PLC women, right? And so it's easier to try to serve or look at them and put them aside and focus on the victim. It's a lot harder to reflect and put that mirror on yourself and then address the demand. But we get to work, Miss Regina and I do a demand, we call it demand reduction work. And it's really hard, and we don't have much support on it, really. It's hard to get a lot of the funding for it. It's hard, there's no research about it, and there's a lot more pushback.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that was one of the effective things that like hit home when we were talking about how to stop guns. And just like focusing on that was a really powerful solution. I had a question about just like advice maybe, because what I've experienced, and I know like some of my sisters have experienced, is that when you are encountered, like you need someone that you know, is like trying to kill themselves to get themselves out of the life, we often get triggered by our own trauma, and just how to be, it's like I feel like it's a very fine line of like you trying to help someone. And then there's also healing that you get from that, but then how do you keep a certain amount of distance so that you don't end up, because you don't want to add to what they're experiencing.
I think like the exercise that we just did here was an example of the kind of thing that can really help. And I worked with this and in another country, and we found absolutely we had to get away from it. And I've been talking to Reggie about this. She knows I have. You need rest, you need to have good food, you need exercise, you need all these other parts of your life. You need to be talking to somebody so your own healing is taking place when this stuff comes up. And it needs to be like an ongoing thing on your part to be healthy yourself. And, you know, it's a good thing that it triggers those things, because then that makes you aware, oh, I've still got this, I'm still hanging on to this, it's still part of my life, and you thought you were okay. You know, and so those things that do come up when you're working with somebody else are really going to be part of your healing. But you do need to take care of yourself. You can't just immerse yourself every day in it, or you will be sick. You will go down.
We're going to do, Shade's going to do a training here, trauma-informed training, and part of that is on self-care. Part of that training is on different ways of self-care.
That's really
good.
Yeah, that's a really important point, because the other thing in doing that, you're modeling what it's like to be healthy. Because if you get sucked into this world and you go all your whole being through it, and then you become sick, and then like you're not really going to show a different possibility of a different type of way of being. That's like actually being able to hold some of these realities that are really heavy and still have a healthy life, a healthy lifestyle, and a balanced lifestyle, and show that like that's possible to actually take care of yourself and still care about someone else, still love someone else, but love yourself at the same time. I feel like that goes real deep, because that's really, like you said, at the core of all this stuff is about feeling loved, and where you're getting that love from. Is it outside yourself? Is it in yourself? Who is it? Is it family, the community? And all those holes get filled in the wrong ways because you're just looking for some sort of love. But yeah, and then like the other thing I was going to say that I really thought is like a really important piece that really never gets touched on. I'm glad you brought it up. Is like there's sickness on both sides, and there's healing needed on both sides. So even though we look at the man as like, for sure they're making choices that are horrible, and they should be held accountable and responsible for those things. Like there's no excuse, and they need healing too. Like what created that? What created, you know what I'm saying, that situation in their lives where they felt like that was their only option, or what's going on with their families. Like, I feel like that piece is always left out. It's like there needs to be things on both sides, and everyone, it's all sickness, even the tricks. Like, they don't know. They should be required to watch this movie. You know what I'm saying? That might make an impact. Or, you know, there should be like just more all around, instead of treating people as the problem, you know, I think they all just need to be healed. They all just need to be educated to
We have a man-up division, and that division was created for the men for those reasons exactly. So I don't know what exactly they do because we're not involved with that. It's for the men, but it's a safe environment for them to discuss the things that, like if they have problems with pornography, right? Because that could be a gateway into being a buyer. So that's what the man-up division, that's the goal and that's the purpose.
Okay. I'll go ahead next. I'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and spread it out.
I just wanted to, because I know she said the training, and I gotta run really quickly.
Okay.
We are doing trauma-based training to help you like identify like how to heal from trauma at Village Connect. Each Wednesday now through the end of February, and we're focused on the intergenerational piece, so like how to heal trauma. We had a men's focus week before last, or like last Wednesday. Then we did women's yesterday, and then we're doing family this week, and we're continuing that. So Wednesdays, Village Connect 6 to 9. If you can look it up online, and I'll also put it in the Oakland Mind on the Oakland Mind page, Regina's Door page, and if you go to that on Facebook, you'll be able to see that information. I gotta get home to my pregnant wife. I thank everybody for showing up, because we all gotta be present to heal this situation. So, thank you.
Just someone, I grew up in Oakland, and I remember when Too Short and Drew Down was putting a lot of that pimp-centered rap music. All my friends loved it. All my guy friends loved it. And like, I just remember not feeling comfortable about it, and I didn't really fit into that same culture. But I didn't really have psychological or political tools to really deal with that, and it took a long time to have some type of understanding and identity that can go beyond it. But when I was young, it was just really, really dominating, and that's something that's like hardly been challenged. I feel like at its very root, I feel like that type of culture of exploitation is still popular. That's like a very deep problem, because the teenagers emulate it without understanding. And on the point of intersectionality, like I do wage and hour law, I sue employers for wage theft. This film blew me away in a wage theft framework, because the worst cases I deal with are immigrant women who not only have economic exploitation but are subject to systematic sexual harassment, but nothing like this. But you could see the connections, right? You could see like how they're overlapped. So like, for me to view this is just such extreme exploitation on a whole other level. But we do see dimensions of this within regular workplaces, actually. And so that's where you see like society as a whole has these really deep problems of exploitation, oppression. Definitely seeing how they're connected, I think, will help us challenge the root of this problem.
And labor trafficking is bigger than terms of numbers, right?
It's just severely underreported.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to put that out there, that it is women that's doing this on their own cause, with no pimps, by themselves. And it's a few of them that actually go to college too. It's a lot of them that's in college that's actually doing this.
That's very, very true. What we're like trying to make a focus on, like when we bring up this topic, is really there's young women that are in this life that's never valid in any way. There are sex workers. That's something that we have to, and you have to acknowledge that people do that on their own merit. But just for this conversation, we're speaking about human trafficking and the framework of just youth people under 18 or whatever you like it to be.
And sex trafficking and sex work, they're completely two different things.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they're like tons of sex workers.
Gotcha.
But sex trafficking, I mean, they're different. know.
And there's no such thing as an underage sex worker either.
Yeah.
Like, you can't consent to, a minor can't consent to having sex with an adult, like regardless of how it's taking place, it's rape of some sort.
I think the way we see it is that by no means I'm not here to judge anybody for for sex work, and we're not here to try to proselytize and say that what they choose is wrong. But just from a public health perspective, how do we make sure we're protecting and supporting the victims out there? And because it is so hard to differentiate, and because we know the vast number of individuals, even if they are sex workers now, were trafficked before. And so just making sure that they know there's support out there, and that we're providing support, again, from a public health perspective for those who are trafficked, I think is the goal. So never to knock anybody for sex work, but to make sure that anyone knows that they are entitled to, whether labor trafficked or not, they're entitled to a living wage, they're entitled to health care, they're entitled to, an anti-violent work environment, and there's things out there for them. I think that's our messaging that we want.
They deserve to be treated
Yeah, a lot of times, the pimps are victims too, because these guys, they grew up like with no opportunity. So, I mean, it's really economic, because it's like in the hood, it's either like you sell drugs, you're like an entertainer or athlete, or you're a pimp. Like, that's it basically. And then in society, all these are like on such a high pedestal, So it's like the only pimps and drug dealers, like every young kid in the hood like looks up to that, because that's the only measure of success. Like everybody else is like destitute. So it's like anybody with money, however they got it, it's like, so that's an issue too.
Are like young boys ever trafficked as well?
Yeah.
What is I want to know the information on that, because I feel like everybody points to the girls because they're weaker and all that stuff, but how is it viewed on young boys?
Well, there's also a lot of shame behind it too, because traffickers or Johns tend to be men, and so for young boys to come forward, there's that stigma of the homosexuality aspect of it as well. So it doesn't get talked about as much for a lot of reasons, but I mean,
Well, definitely the majority of our victims are girls that we see in Alameda County, especially, but also nationwide. I mean, it's like a low estimate would be 90% are girls. But that being said, like you mentioned, a lot of the boys have been previously victimized or sexually abused, and often that then, as they grow and don't heal, they become either buyers or exploiters themselves, because it's just how you envision your own sex. A lot of our victims have been previously sexualized as well, victimized. So just in our development, as we, view ourselves in our sexuality, right? And if we've been objectified at an early age, obviously it's easier to objectify or see your own self as objectified, right? So I think what we see is if a boy is victimized at a young age, often that then if they're not continuing to be victimized, they may become exploiters or purchasers, but vast majority are girls. We have a higher proportion of LGBTQI youth as well, and transgender youth. We've been doing our, trying to really figure out who has been exploited over the last 10 years. We've been trying to create and to see it. And more as more statistics we keep, it's a higher proportion of LGBTQI and transgender and males, but it's still 98% here.
Just what Jay said. Even though they were victimized and everything, they're still taking the choice to become an exploiter. So at the same time, that doesn't make you a victim anymore. That doesn't make you a victim. You're exploiting now. You're doing exactly what was happening to you. So you're taking that choice to just exploit other people. But for someone who's who doesn't necessarily want to do this, but they're being forced to, and they're not tricks. That's not the term that we should use. They're exploiters too. They're exploiters too. They're exploiters. And just turn themselves into exploiters. So justified for them to be a victim anymore. Yeah, they were once a victim, but then they're making the choice to exploit, and they're exploiting themselves too still.
But you know, society already made the choice because society is built on capitalism. So it's like this is basically like the most like primitive form of capitalism. So it's like if you growing up in this society, it's all about money. I mean, you know, because a lot of times with the pornography thing too, like that's basically like allowed in society. You know, like dudes be talking to like porn stars they like and stuff. So that's like normal. So that being normal is already like a gateway into all this type of stuff.
I mean, there's definitely a brokenness. It's just, you know, there's a brokenness that allows somebody to exploit someone. They have got to also be broken. But to Omi's point, you know, some of these girls are like being raped 20 times a day by an exploiter. So, but they too are broken. But you know,
they deserve to heal.
They deserve to
Everyone
heal.
Deserves to heal.
Everyone deserves to heal.
But at the same time, they're still taking the choice to continue.
Yeah. But they do, you know, deserve compassion and mercy. And I mean, it's not gonna, without them healing through like the bonds of love, it's gonna continue, you know. But they are exploiters.
You kind of answered the question. I was like, why do we feel exploiters are obsessed with power? Like, why do we feel that people that exploit and violate other individuals, they seem to like not be able to control it? Like, I just want to see if anyone in the room has just some psychological insight as to why you think somebody would be obsessed with that idea.
You know, like America was built on slavery. So, you know, I remember watching Django, and like I forgot the guy who owned the sex ranch. His name like Big Boss or something like that. And it sounded like a rap name. You know what I'm saying? Or like, so I think what happened, and this is my imagination, that once slavery had ended, the people that were paid were people that acted as a slave master. So it's like, okay, this is like a modern day prostitution is slavery, but it looks more acceptable. Like it's more. It's not getting whipped necessarily out in the open in front of everybody. Just like a cop choking someone is a modern day lynching, and you can watch it at home. It's not like we're at a picnic now, and you can take a photo of it. It's just like, no, we see it from our house. And you'll notice that certain other groups of people, they won't allow you to see them killed, but you can see a black man killed, and it's normal to us. It's normal to see a black or brown woman say that I've been sexually abused or whatever. It's normal to say that the black man is the pimp. And this comes from our system. You know what I'm saying? The system of slavery is still here, it's still taking place. So I think it comes down to taking over that element. It's like when you see a preacher, the power that a preacher has, and you become a preacher. It's like you took on that spirit. When you see a pimp and you see that, and you become that pimp, you've eaten that man's spirit, and now you're that being. And I don't think people necessarily think about it as right or wrong. I think it's a role. Just like I've seen a lot of women who, I don't know how they got there, but by the time I was born and I was always around women like that, you know, and they're still out there today, you know, and if they could get youth again to go back out there and do it, they would. Now, I don't know where it started. Some people started at home with some man messing with them when they was kids. But it's just, I feel like it's just the system as a whole. And I feel like when people get fed up with it, they're going to be willing to die to destroy the system. Because that's what it was built upon, is rape. Fiat currency is rape. You know, we don't have real valuable money. So nothing has value.
Kind of what I'm hearing from that, like breaking it down, is like they internalize the mentality of the slave master. They internalize that, and then that's the one getting money by driving the slave. So it's like then they take on that role, it's internalized hatred, internalized oppression, all of that, and they become the oppressor to their own people, to their own being. Like you said, eating that spirit. And then like, so there's that piece, which is incredible. And then there's the other piece around the fact that like if they were abused in their own homes, they probably didn't have any sense of control and power, because usually abuse and trauma, that's what it's about control and power. And when that's taken away from you, then you tend to either fall into one spectrum of the person that gives up all your control and all your power and has no ability to kind of take it back, or which is the victim or the perpetrator, which is just playing that role of the cycle, just reenacting your own abuse. So that's another level of it, that's another layer of that.
Yeah, you know, it's just Stockholm syndrome, basically, you know, because of, like, those girls that were saying they knew how bad it was, but they couldn't stay away. It's just like the dudes, because they know how bad it is to subject someone to this, but, you know, the system creates this type of situation.
Actually, what are our plans, our immediate plans to combat the system that we all are very aware of?
Well, just to comment on your original question, is what was it again?
Why are exploiters obsessed with power?
I think it comes down to the spirit, like, being just from the beginning of, not from the beginning of time, but just feeling disconnected from our mind, from our body, from our spirit, and then just having this idea that we're all separate. And
you don't see yourself in the other individual, so it makes it okay to do whatever.
right, I'm Muslim or I'm Christian, and they're different, they have a different.
You don't see the connection. You see. Thank you for that. But I still, that's partially why I want to really hear from the room is like, what are we planning to do to combat this shit? Like this is like this systematic thing that we're all seeing and witnessing. It's not a secret to anybody in this room. We partially came here, like we're here because we know this is a problem that we want to deal with. What are like our day-to-day plans that we are currently doing and we'll continue to do and we'll do in the future?
Collaborate creatively and create alternative media and just shower it on social media, shower it in people's spaces, do statements like house rule and go out into the streets and actually do like something creative. Like creativity I feel like is something that's very void and like, but we're all here and we should create something that will be right in their faces, like in everybody's faces, just like how the women on the streets and the young people on the streets are right in our faces. So we need to do something that's going to be alternative to that, that's still right in front of people's faces.
We had talked about doing ciphers on the corner and the seaside, so we were talking to Sarai about
Anybody else have like any plans, things you've been doing in your life already, or things you plan to start doing after this meeting?
This, for one, you know what I'm saying? Like having events like this where we discuss, you know, the situation. We see the situation as it is. We see possible solutions. We get to know organizations and people who are working right now to end these kind of situations. And then we all should go out and volunteer, you know, join CSEC and put in our voices, put in our opinions, put in our experience, put in our knowledge, you know? And we also need to have communities, like actual communities that are built on honesty, that are built on integrity, that hold each other to high standards, so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen, you know? Because it starts somewhere, right? And what we really have to do is get the start. And no matter what the system does, if we can be greater than the system, we will win, we will rise, as we have before. We just have to realize that, and we have to start it right in ourselves. Like this little man right here, you know what I'm saying? He will grow up with everything that he needs, like emotional support, intellectual support, financial support. If he needs help in school, I will find everything that he needs. I will ask him how his day is. I will ask him what he's doing, what's going on with him. I will go out and meet his friends' parents and see how they're doing, see if they need help. Because I know that's what we need. We need that kind of community where we're that invested in each other.
Do that. So I mean, on that note, like, so I'm a mental health clinician, and I go to CSEC trainings, and I do them at schools that I work at as well. And that's like on the ground level, you know, what we could do, right? Like I like help teachers to identify, you know, potential at-risk youth, stuff like that, and just kind of get basic information. And that's all good, but like on that note, the thing about the system that needs to be addressed is that this shit goes up to the highest levels of power. Like until that's actually talked about, nothing will really change. Like until people actually are willing to confront the people who are in the highest positions of power about how they are.
Our president is on trial for fucking raping a young lady.
And that has a lot to do with why
Shit is
why
real.
Alameda County has so many laws in place that a lot of other counties are not. It's because it got so high up and it got so ugly, and it forced us to really have to face it and to really have to change the way that we do things and have conversations about the way that we do things. And that's real, and I don't know if it has to be something that drastic has to happen in every county for it to take place, but I feel like, you know, maybe it does. Sometimes the system has to crumble for it to be rebuilt in a different way.
Yeah, you think about the sexual exploitation scandal from this past summer. I mean, it's people with time. I mean, everyone was really proud of a lot of the work done in Oakland, and there is a lot of amazing advocacy work. But it was also an opportunity to show how this really does pervade. No matter how amazing all your policies are, you're still battling this severe misogyny and systematic oppression and like severe, challenges. So how do you then face that, right? And it was, coming from the DA's office, you know, there's a lot of talk. How do you act on that? And what limits are we then facing? And if there are limits, then how do you overcome those next time or whatever it is? So I think that's a great point, and it's true. I mean, that is a horrible thing to happen, but we, like Sarai says, we know that's happening everywhere. So for it to just expose itself is almost a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was amazing when the whole Celeste Guap case came out and no one wanted to talk about how she was talking about 14-year-olds from Richmond were going to East 14th to engage in this. That wasn't a factor in all this. It was like, oh, Celeste Guap and these cops. And then on some other stuff, some of the Contra Costa sheriffs got off because they claimed they didn't pay money, so it's consensual, largely because there's probably no evidence of the money being exchanged, so then they get off. Then there's no accountability. So I'm just like,
And if you can't make a case, like, there's got to be something else, right? Like, I mean, if we can't only rely, we know you can't rely on just the criminal system, right? That's not going to be an effective means of justice. So, I mean, what else do we do? I'm glad.
And just on another interesting point on the position of power, there's a really important lawsuit against Uber, right, for misclassification on employment stuff. There's another lawsuit against the CEO of Uber, against her Filipino house worker who he tried to pay to clean the house naked and sexually harass, and he paid her $5 an hour when San Francisco minimum wage was $13 an hour, and she's a mom of 3 kids and she's like 40 years old. So you see this dynamic,
That's going to be an open business soon enough.
Yeah. I heard the words on the street that they're not coming in.
They didn't get accepted.
Well, that's why we're hearing rumblings that they're not coming. I don't know if that's true, but there are rumblings that they're not coming. I just want to say this. I have something tangible. I have a young woman who's going to be coming out here who does not want to go into a shelter. So I'm putting a family around her. So I need help with her if anybody wants to come and help this young lady, because she doesn't want to go into a shelter, but she needs help, and she's coming from back east, which is like huge for me that her family's sending her here to me.
When is she coming?
I'm not exactly sure, but soon, probably in the next couple of weeks. So I need help. She won't go into a shelter, like any shelter.
We'll help you, Mama. Just let you know what you need, like clothes and...
Yeah. I don't know.
I've been speaking. We're probably gonna try and close out around 10:30. Let's give us 10 more minutes and kind of just let this breathe. Anything on the top of anyone's brain, this is a safe space, so just open your mind.
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to do is, basically show these dudes in the hood like different opportunities to get money.
That's real.
It's like they're real smart. They just got the wrong product. Because I feel like any dude on the block, he got the same skills as anybody that's running a Fortune 500 is doing. Yep. And the Fortune 500 dude probably couldn't survive.
Go ahead, for like a few hours too.
Because if you can run an illegal business,
yeah,
you can run a legal business literally well.
Or, so you try to inspire them by leading by example, though, setting things up so they can see that you can make the transition, you know, and showing them what they can do with that.
And managing people is a real career. You don't have to do it that type of way. I think people think of exploiting like managing people. There's many different management positions. So
organizational psychology.
Another way to think about it.
You should probably close it out.
Yeah, it's getting a bit late. I can see the.
Anybody else have anything else to say?
Before we leave, I can walk us through another breathing.
Huh?
You want to bring it out?
Breathing, exiting.
Okay.
Exercise, kind of cleanse our minds and space.
Warm up and warm down.
Okay.
Everyone's ready. Stand again.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for coming out as well. For staying and having this important conversation and for sitting through the difficult parts of the movie. This right here is the first step, and this is real community, and the concern here and the interest. I mean, even if it's just something as simple as taking one of the pieces of paper that we passed out and putting one of those numbers in your phone or something in case you see something or hear something. I think the worst thing we do is we see things and we're disturbed by them and we're upset, and that's all we do is be disturbed and upset. So even if it's something as minor as reporting it to one of the organizations or calling the police or calling a hotline or
ReportJohn.org.
Yeah.
If you guys want to put the reportjohn.org on your phone, you can do it. So you just go to reportjohn.org and then you can put it on your home screen. And if you see anything, you take a picture. You can put in the make of the car. Don't take a picture of the girl. And make sure you are sure. Because it goes to Officer Joe, right?
But it goes to Lieutenant City.
Yeah, who's cool. But you just go to reportjohn.org and you can put it onto your home screen. And so it's a mobile ready app. Mobile ready website.
Make model of the car and the license plate number so that you can plug that information.
So the biggest thing is don't think you need to have all the answers, but make sure you keep the resources because there are plenty of people out there that have the answers, that have the solutions, that are more equipped or more trained in it, but a lot of times you're the gateway. And so don't be afraid to be the gateway. Sometimes it doesn't even look the way that you might think it does. I think Hollywood glamorizes it. Sometimes a report on the phone or a call or something of that sort. So just keep that in mind. But thank you all.
When everyone's ready, we can close our eyes, bringing our attention inward to ourselves. And go ahead and push out whatever air you have just lingering around in your lungs. Go ahead and clear your lungs. And when you're ready, go ahead and inhale very slowly, bringing in oxygen to your mind, bringing it down to the throat, into your chest, expanding your lungs, pushing your stomach forward, feeling your groundness outplanted deeper in your present space. And after you're done allowing that oxygen to travel, go ahead and exhale very slowly through your nose, pushing out all of your negativity, clearing your mind, clearing your body, clearing your space, bringing all of those qualities that you want. And as you exhale, you can go ahead and release negative energy. Go ahead and release self-doubt. Go ahead and release imbalance, confusion, insensitivity, lack of faith, and unfair. Until you're ready, you can inhale, open your eyes, and bring your attention back center.
Thank you.
Feel free to help yourselves to any snacks or beers.
I want to say one thing before we leave. So we have more material. If you want to take some, if you want to spread it to people, that is a great way to help get people involved. If you yourself want to stay involved, you want to stay inside the movement, get with these women right here. They know what's up. They have organizations ready and willing for people to join and to volunteer. You can also follow Regina's Door. You can follow Oakland Mind. You can follow Women's Creative Collective. We also have some shirts for sale, and 100% of the donations and the proceeds will go back to the movement and to creating more events like this, so we can create awareness.
Yeah, the shirts are 20.
Yes, 20. And before we go, what is the first guideline of the I Will Not Participate campaign?
Treat women with respect.
What is the second guideline? What is the third guideline?
Support
the movement.
Bam. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say people like they usually start out I feel like
staff them and take this place. Hey, if you're live, can you guys help?
Excuse me, any gentleman in the room, can you please help me transport these chairs back across the street to Spice Country? There's not that many of them. Everybody takes two, we'll all be done in one trip.
But it's
You're in the car with a child.
otherwise too easy to
I'm not gonna treat you like a
I don't have to they didn't make me think.
Oh my God,
He's just got to get arrested. He's getting arrested. So many nice dudes who start doing that stuff, man. Yeah, but they don't get nothing. They get a slap on the wrist. I don't know, man. They shot a fire. Like, you're a gentleman. Like, this is where it is. You don't have to do it. our authority, they're also involved. Actually, people don't understand. The shit goes like that, like you were saying, it's from the top, it's from the top. Like, motherfuckers got sex trafficking, the country that has they got hundreds of thousands of women, and it's the politicians and the lawmakers are the ones who are actually running that shit. And until that's even acknowledged, most people won't even they won't even acknowledge that truth. That's like too deep, it's too mind shit, it's too bullshit, you know what I mean? Because you gotta acknowledge that people like even Obama, Trump, even Obama, it's not just because it's like, you know what I'm saying? No one looks this way, but they're all involved in that shit.
I'm gonna do the
That's why it's so deeply entrenched. It's part of the fabric of America. About slavery and prostitution. Maybe we're so, like she was saying, that's
what I'm saying. The whole thing is trying to fix it. That's not even what. It's like how you said, we gotta rise above the system. It's not gonna be like, oh, the system is like, can't be victimized by it, and can't be like trying to fix it. It's like create new shit. It's like, while that shit crumbles, build the new one. That's the foundation. It's like more like human conscious values. Starts with us, right? Starts with like our own mentality in our own inner world, using our family. Starts with our family, everyone's always trying to like go out here and fix the world. And a lot of motherfuckers who really run the street, eventually they know they'd rather get legit.
I think if you're really on like Ross and all that shit, about the money. I'm talking about the money. That's just not even that profitable. Right? As far as like, that shit that can more money, way more, less work. So it's like, you really honestly,
you gotta really have that, you know what I'm saying? But I think it goes deeper than that, I think, for some of them, especially in this particular area. Because those dudes, there's a reason they're drawn to that particular.
It's that hip hop shit though.
Yeah,
that's like, another like thing. You gotta like, all these dudes.
That's why I don't really, that's why I'm not really down with the music that's like more glorifying that shit. Yeah, I've heard of things like I that was before I knew this shit. And so I could just be like, oh yeah, you know, I think it's a thin line between glorification. Like, you really have to listen when somebody like just talking about experience. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it's all about the experience, but it's so crazy. I think they glorify it. Yeah, but it's just actually happening. Yeah, for sure. But it's how you
$1.6 billion in wage
I know it's like everybody. I know it's a really big thing, like wage theft.
So what it is a Logitech HD. Hella good. Yeah. You see that right here? Hey. There you go, right there. Hey.
Kind of like in the past, because it's like I'm moving faster.
True. Like 60? I'm like,